Good morning, Harry. I'm going to make this video for you, and then I'm going to let you choose whether you want to share it or not. You seem to be exceptionally frustrated this morning, and as I'm pointing out what is going wrong, I think you're looking for me to give you this magical phrase or pinpoint something that is going to automatically fix the issue, and that's not going to happen. And the best thing to do, you told me this morning, now you're dreading your sessions because you're going to fail. You just know you're going to fail, and so you're walking in, you're going right into training, and you're already defeated. You've already conceded to the fact that you don't have the capacity to do the weight. And I disagree, because I've seen you squat right at 600, I've seen you deadlift 600, and I've seen you bench press right in the same rack that you struggled yesterday. I've seen you bench press 400 without a handoff. And you didn't change physically, but you have allowed, when you've made mistakes, and what they've been is mistakes, they get in your head, and then you don't have the wherewithal or the capacity to overcome that. It was simply a mistake. You've made mistakes before. When you've done it in bowling, you correct it. But the thing is that we've tried where we back off the weight and then we work back up, and then what happens is when you feel a certain weight and that makes you feel a certain way, you change your approach. You did it again this morning. You go to squat 505, watch. You stand up, your feet are too far back, and you're already forward. Then when you stand there, and you're moving, and you get forward, then you crane your neck out, and you're even more forward. Then you're so slow into the hole, you have no ability to rebound, and you've not created any tension. You're scared. You are afraid, and you're not lifting to destroy the weight. You're just trying not to miss. And that mental approach is defeating at best. There is no way for you to come out on top that way. So there's some things that I think you should do that I think will help you. And that is, you got to define why you do this. I mean, do you really want to be elite? Do you really want to be extraordinarily strong? Do you want to be a competitor? Or do you want to be a participant? And none of those things are bad. There's no negative connotation whatsoever. That said, there is a difference between someone that participates and someone that is a competitor. There is someone that is training and working out to be strong, and then training to be as strong as possible and try to reach a master or an elite total. And I think you're really going to have to define what that is. The other thing is the time constraint. You know, you are always running out of time. That's not a negative thing, it's a fact. I'm not dogging you, it's a simple fact. I find over and over and over with your sessions, you're running out of time. There's two things that are systemically wrong with your approach. One is if you're going to train in the morning, you got to get up earlier. You got to figure it out. And if you're not sleeping well, then you got to figure out why. You rattled off 3 things this morning right away. You're eating more junk food, and those types of things. And you're not sleeping and you don't feel recovered. Now, I don't think that's the biggest issue, but it's certainly a contributing factor. So you got to find a way to get some sleep and get some rest, but you got to get up earlier. You're not even getting through your working sets and you're running out of time. And that's just if you're going to participate, that's not going to be good enough. And you have the capacity to be better. You clearly do. The other thing, and I know you don't want to hear this, but it's a fact, I think the fact that you don't train with people, and I think you've got to be a lot more aggressive about if there was just one more person in the room with you where you guys could push each other. Now I don't know what you need to do to figure that out. I don't know what your schedule's going to allow, but I do know everybody that has tried to train alone in their home gym the numbers, the ratio is sky high that points to them not reaching their potential. And I think it's one of those things that it creates, you're always cautious at best. So you're not being aggressive in attacking the weights. I'm not judging you. I'm just saying that's factually what's going on. You're tentative, and when your approach is tentative, your results are going to be tentative. And that, again, that's just a fact. I'm not being negative. I'm not looking down on you. I get it. I train with a group, and I've had to work extraordinarily hard to have a group. And I will tell you, this morning it was Melissa, Debbie, Jennifer, and Punch that were in the gym. Wes Jr. was there early and had to leave. My son wasn't there, and Corey was not there. Corey's out of town. So I don't always have, what I would think is the most optimal spot. But I have safety straps, and not unlike yourself, you have safeties. But you have given up the gear of digging in. As soon as it does not just pop right up, you're quitting. And the thing is now it's habitual. And I think if you're in an environment where there's people around you, one is it makes you, there's a certain amount of self integrity. It's like, hey, I got people watching me. I got people, I need to set a tone here. I've got to dig in, and I've got to push myself. You've got a quitter's mentality right now, and here's my only reservation with lightening it up. Well, there's two. One is we've done that. We've proven that we can go back to 405 on your squat and build back up, and then we get to the 550 to the 580 area, and you start treating it differently. And so my question would be, why would you squat 505 any differently than you would 325? Your form is your form. If you execute the form, it should be pristine from the bar to 600 pounds. The end. There's not an option. There's not a safety net. And so when you're squatting not to fail, you're looking for all those safety nets. Where is my parachute? Where is my jump off point? Instead of digging in and grinding it out. And you're just, if your back is stiff, then are you doing the things necessary to make it where it's better? Are you getting the assistance in? Well, clearly you're not, because you're always running out of time. Are you doing things on off days that are going to help with that? And if you're not, that means that you need to, So you have to make a determination on what level of priority this is for you. And until you do that, you're freelancing and guessing with your form and, with your why. For me, it's very definitive. Why do I do this? Because I still want to be a champion. Because I want to win at strongman. I want to win at Olympic lifting. I want to win at powerlifting. I want to be the best version of myself at now 53 years old. And now I want to be good at throwing and see how far I can go with that as well. So I have some very definitive things that I want to do. I have definitive goals. And I think that's something that, regardless of your level of where you're training and where you're competing, you have to make that determination. So if you're determined to do the meet, and I've got no problem with that, I just need you to understand that some of these weights that would be a personal record are probably not there. Not unless you can pull it together in a few weeks, and that's going to be hard to do. And you can't do that training for a near 600 pound squat at 405. It's not going to happen that way. So, you got a decision to make. Do you still want to compete? And if you do, then we have to make some adjustments on those numbers. And then, we need to look at the training. Up until the last 3 months, we've been very successful with what you've done. In the last 3 months, you bench pressed 400 pounds for the first time, and so we've made some changes. We've tried a few different things, but the thing that's got to happen, the change that is going to make the biggest difference, is personally, you have to change your approach and dig in. Being afraid is not the problem. being afraid and it being controlling is the issue. You know, worrying about failing and dreading it. If you dread it, you shouldn't do it. If you're that afraid, if you're having that big of an issue, then we need to evaluate what you really want to do. And that's not a challenge. You know, that's just, you know, it's like if you're dreading it, then we need to make some changes, because if you're not enjoying this, then it becomes questionable as to why you're doing it. And fun for me, sometimes, you know, you got to put work in. You know, that's why they don't call your job when you got to go, well, I got to go to fun. You never call it that. You call it work. And the fun part about competing is getting that total and winning. You know, there's a lot of things about the strongman contest when I was training. It wasn't fun. Man, training all those reps with the stone and carrying stuff and, you know, doing things to make sure that I was ready, it was not fun. But I'll tell you what was fun is when I loaded that stone and walked away being a national champion. That was fun. And so there's a certain amount of, you know, effort and things that you got to do on the front end to increase the enjoyment factor. You know, eating pizza, that's fun. I don't have to train for that. Drinking bourbon, that's fun. I don't have to train for that either. All I got to be able to do is open the bottle and pour it. This is a little bit more involved, and that's why I've always said, you know, I love strength, because not everybody can do it. And the premise of strength is relatively simple. However, it's really fucking hard, and it's not easy. And that's what becomes the game changer, is to what level do you want to do this and why do you do it. So my challenge to you is make sure this is something that, you know, the meet is actually something you want to do. Are you going to be okay with, you know, not hitting some PRs, because that's a very real thing. And then going forward, how do you want to approach this? Can you invest some more time in it? Can you get up earlier? And on your off days, can you do some auxiliary things that are going to benefit you? And we can change our approach, but eventually you got to be able to, you know, when Scary Town comes, you got to be able to come in and own it, you know. And there's two ways to fight a bull. You can run from it and let him chase you down, or you can grab the sumbitch by the horns. And it's just the way it is. And see, we want to, like this morning, I asked Melissa a question. She's injured, and it was serious. And she's gone weeks and weeks doing different types of therapy, working with someone on mobility, an actual mobility coach, and doing all these other, you know, types of therapy, you know. And she's pulled 185 a few times and squatted, I want to say 135, 145. And today she's with the safety squat bar doing, I want to say, triples, working on depth with 95 pounds. You know, and eventually I just asked her, I said, so when are you going to actually start squatting? I mean, you know, when are we going to start building up? Because one of the things we talked about with the form and the movement, you know, I start asking her questions, and I go, do you want to squat 135 again? The answer is yes. Do you want to squat 225? Yes. Well, what about 315? Yes, but. And I get, see, that's therein lies the problem with the mentality. There's no but. Yes, I do. No, I don't. Well, I don't want to get hurt. Well, I don't want to get hurt either. I never want to get hurt, but do I want to do this? Yes or no? And if I do, then I have to exhaust every pathway to get me to that point. And if I'm not willing to do that, then it means no. There's not a gray area with strength. You're doing it or you're not doing it. You attempted the lift, you achieved the lift, or you did not. And that is my challenge to you, is do you want to squat 600 pounds? And if you do, then we have to do all the things necessary to get you to that point. And then once we get to that point, you can't turn loose of those things and regress, because you let failure, you let that defeat you. You let that be the dominant thing, and you are in charge. You are in control. The weight is not intuitive. It's not intelligent. It doesn't know. It is just dumb weight. And until you make that approach automatic, you're going to, at best, you're going to be inconsistent and struggle a lot. And you're too big and strong for that. I mean, you've proven it. I mean, I have the video of you pulling 600 pounds. I have the video of you benching 400. And you did it without a handoff. So, you know, think about, are there some opportunities where potentially we change your schedule, or on the weekend that you can go to River City and get a squat workout in? Man, there's some really good guys there that I know personally, and they'll take good care of you, and they know me, and that might be an outlet for you. But clearly on your own, it's not working. Now, does that mean you have to train at that gym full time? That's not what I said. But when you get ready for a heavy squat, maybe we do that once, maybe twice a month, where we squat really heavy, and the rest of the time we're working on other things. But until you can find a way to get through that point, and it's not just a sticking point with your form, it's this, and then this. You know, it's just gut check time. You got to want and be willing to do the things necessary to get better. And right now, you're questioning that. And it's a very negative situation. And unfortunately, the only person that can fix that is you. You got to want to do it. So, show me how bad you want it. And if you keep committing to the effort, we'll keep working at this. We'll figure out a way to be successful. But you got to give me more than, you know, being afraid and doing this half-hearted. For the time that you have, you got to give me 100%.